I'm also one of the founding board members for AASHE, and I'm the Director of Higher Education for NAC Architecture. We're going to serve as the Masters of Ceremony tonight. We have a very exciting program, and we're excited to share that with you. And but I think most exciting part of this is just being here at the premier event for campus sustainability community internationally. So, in a sense, we're kind of coming back to where it all started. It was 10 years ago that Education for Sustainability West had their first conference here at the University of Portland. And it was right after that a group of about 20 of us met in Sherry Ton's living room to talk about the future of sustainability, campus sustainability in a national level. And that's where AASHE got started. And I want to tell you right now, Sherry, we're not going to be able to meet your living room tonight, so but we'll do the best we can. Today, or this conference, we have 2,100 attendees, and that includes everybody from faculty, staff, businesses, nonprofit organizations from all over the country and from over 12 different countries around the world.
And this party would not be complete without the dedication of our sponsors, who year after year help make our conference memorable and something people look forward to wherever we are around the country. From our media sponsors to our water refill station sponsor, the executive workshop sponsors, the student summit sponsors, and our 14 host institutions that cover the entire Pacific Northwest from north of Seattle to a large number here in the Portland area and south. These institutions come together to support AASHE and make available their tremendous resources that help us advance campus sustainability across our communities. Please join us in thanking our sponsors.
Introducing Dr. Cornell Piwiwardi from the Comanche and Kiowa Nations. He's also the Director of Indigenous Nations Studies at Portland State University. He's going to share a welcoming song with us.
Welcome you to Portland, Oregon. Thank you for coming to our beautiful part of the country. I represent the indigenous peoples. I'm really happy to you're all here. You're all behind us, where we come from, particularly here in this community called Multnomah County. The ancestral lands of the Middle Chinook, the Multnomah, the Clackamas people. We always remember who they are. And so the welcome song is just that. I'll sing a song that comes from my people, the Comanche tribe, and I call it the Cold Talker song. We have songs that still remind us of who we are and ground us in the ground that sustain us as a people, particularly as tribal people. And so this song is a welcome song, but it's also a song of honor because of many of the voices that we're able to use, primarily the tribal voices that were used in armed services that still sustain us today. So a part of that with my family, we have code talkers, we call them Comanche code talkers, who have shared their time and many of their lives dedicating to the survival of all our people in this country. A welcome song. Oh,
Thank you so much for providing that welcome song, that honor song, Dr. Pibiwardi. It is customary when a drummer comes to a gathering such as this to provide a small gift as a measure of thanks. So on behalf of AASHE and all of us here, I present this small token of our appreciation. My name is Jackie Johnson, and I'm proud to serve as Chancellor of the University of Minnesota-Morris, where we are powered by the wind and the sun, heated and cooled by corn cobs and mixed prairie grasses, and led by students seeking change. My little pitch. It's also an honor and a privilege for me to serve as chair of the board of directors of the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education. And I speak for the board when I say it is also an honor and a privilege for us to build on the foundation established by the first staff members and original board members of this organization. It is an important and daunting task, so thank you, Sherry and Ron. We live in an era of contradictions. We travel the globe from one point on the earth to another. We travel with ease and with comfort. Most of us don't travel first class. And yet we travel under the specter of deadly viral diseases like Ebola, with the desperate cry for help coming from our brothers and sisters in West Africa, and we barely know how to respond. The issues of sustainability and economy and social justice are here and now. Most of us gathered here tonight live in conditions of abundance in an era of consumption, and yet we also live in an era where too many of the inhabitants of this planet, including some who live in the United States, suffer from abject poverty, from scarce supplies of food and water, from unacceptable sanitary conditions. The issues of sustainability, social and economic justice, and environmental degradation are ever present. We live in an era where ice caps are melting, where dramatic weather events from drought to flood touch all of our lives, hastened and enhanced by human intervention. And regardless of where we live, regardless of our politics, the issues of environmental challenge and climate change are ever present. We live in an era where despair almost appears as a default option. And yet, here we all are, assembled in Portland, city of progress, city of possibilities, a city where social and environmental conscience and the collective will to act to bring about change exists. Here we all are, assembled as agents of change, each of us able to play a role in changing the world in which we live. Here we are, assembled and ready to teach and to learn from one another, aware of the urgency of our task, gathered under the umbrella of sustainability, gathered under the umbrella of passion and conviction and action and hope that is the lifeblood of this organization, of its founders, of its current members, of AASHE. This organization, this conference, is a place of hope. Several years ago, a stranger came up to me after I had spoken at the work happening on my campus, and he said, "Whenever I feel a sense of despair for the world around me, especially for the problems in the environment, I think of that Wendell Berry poem. You know the one," he said, "The Piece of Wild Things." And when I think of that poem, I think of this place, your campus, this place of hope. That is how I see AASHE, a place of reflection, a place of action, a place of hope. And I end my remarks by sharing that poem with you, The Piece of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. When despair for the world grows in me and I wake in the night at the least sound in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in the beauty on the water and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought or grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. Thank you very much. Yes, so I'm still here. I have one more task. AASHE is pleased to be a founding partner of Solution Generation. Stephanie Herrera, Executive Director of AASHE, sits on their executive committee. And I'm pleased to welcome to the podium Dr. John Anderson, President of Millersville University in Pennsylvania, and also a member of Solution Generation's Executive Committee, who will be speaking on behalf of that organization. Please join me in welcoming him.
Thank you, Jackie. It's great to be here at another AASHE meeting. I get so invigorated when I look out and I see the number of people that come together on an annual basis. In addition to my work at Millersville University, I serve, as Jackie said, on the Executive Committee of Solution Generation, but I also serve on the Executive Committee of the American Colleges and Universities President's Climate Commitment, where almost 700 of my colleague presidents have pledged to bring their campuses to carbon neutral. So my message is so great to see so many students here. So my message to the students is go back to your campus, find out if you're a signatory or get on our website, and if you're not, knock on the president's door and ask him why. Okay? That's one homework assignment for you. But I want to take a minute to tell you about Momentous and Solution Generation and to encourage your participation. Momentous is a strategic organizing initiative designed to build a critical mass of institutional leadership, public support, and political will and collective action for climate solutions in the United States. It includes a national network of faith, higher education, health, business, and community leaders. The higher education program of Momentous is called Solution Generation. This is a coalition education partners committed to leading by example on the path to a positive future and engaging our students, communities, and peers on climate changes. So I have a question for you, and I need a show of hands. How many of you out there feel that you are very effective in communicating to the general public about climate issues? Okay, good for you. We have a lot of work to do. When Momentous was being developed, they did extensive research in conjunction with American University in Washington and others on how to build support among mainstream Americans for climate solutions. They studied past effective social movements, their success factors, and how that matched up with the climate movement. A lack of broad-based public support is the greatest obstacle to our nation leading the way on climate change. With that in mind, and with input of over 120 national leaders, Momentous developed the Path to Positive statement, which has 3 components: vision, principles, and commitment. Similar statements have been instrumental in successful social movements before and have enabled diverse organizations to coalesce around what unites us rather than divides us. Their work is based on psychographic, social science, and communications research. On behalf of the Executive Committee, I invite you to join Solution Generation by signing the Path to Positive. There is no cost. Leaders make a commitment to lead by example on their campus and engage others in climate solutions. And we are all leaders in this room. You join on your smartphone, get on the website. It's very easy at solutiongeneration.org. You can also stay informed as an individual and access a wide array of resources and tools to assist you in enhancing your ability to lead and communicate on climate solutions. Stop by our booth and say hello. Andrea Putman, who's the director of Solution Generation, some of you know her and worked with her over the years, is going to be at the booth, as well as others. And also join us on Tuesday at 2 o'clock where we have a workshop on this subject. And finally, join us on the Path to Positive to advance our shared vision of a healthier and brighter future. Thank you.
Everybody doing okay? All right. So this is an exciting part of our ceremony tonight, and we're going to recognize some of the cutting-edge, impressive work that's happening on your campuses all around the country and all around the world. This is the AASHE Awards ceremony.
We are fortunate tonight to have a sponsor for our awards ceremony, and that is the company AASHE. We'd like to welcome Tom Wright, the CEO of AASHE, to the stage. Tom.
Wow, what an impressive crowd. More importantly, what an impressive mission and purpose. Why me? Why now? Because I was fortunate enough to meet your executive director. We sat together one night at a sustainability conference back in Baltimore, back in February. And she shared with me the mission and purpose of this great organization. I saw a complete alignment of what we were trying to do. We're only 14 months young. We're not a big corporation. Matter of fact, the founder's here with me, Bill Andriozzi, if you could please stand to be recognized. How committed are we? We've given your organization more money than either one of us has taken out of a company we started 16 months ago. Fact one. We're not doing so bad these days. We're at about 40 colleges and universities across the country. And we'll be visiting Portland a little bit more these days because we're proud of Portland Community College just implementing our system this week. From coast to coast, A3 is making a difference to change the lives of students on college campuses from disposable to reusable. You're going to have plenty of time to learn about us. Tonight, it's about the work and the accomplishments of some great people. And I'm going to turn it back over to our host to let's find out how great their work really has and become. Thank you.
The AASHE Awards are for student leadership, student research, and best case study. Within the case study category, there are 4 winners for different size schools.
We have to say that it was pretty tough this year trying to pick the winners. We had a lot of entries in each of the categories. The competition was stiff, but with volunteers and our advisory council, AASHE Advisory Council, we put together a finalist list that came out in September. But tonight we're going to actually announce those winners.
Joining A3 on the stage is our Executive Director of AASHE, Stephanie Herrera, and Jackie Johnson, Chair of the Board. We're going to start with recognition of the winner, who will come on stage in each category, and we'll also announce the runner-up. Congratulations to all our winners and the incredible work they're doing.
You guys ready? Oh, woo, yeah. Here we go. So there's 3 categories for the awards. There's student research, there's student leadership, and there's best case study. And within the best case study category, we have 4 awards that's given to the various types of institutions. First, we'll start with our case study awards. And there, like I said, there's 4 awards that'll be given out to the different institutions. So the best case study award for Associate College with 5,000 or fewer full-time students is the University of Hawaii, Kauai Community College. This submission is a unique Hawaiian learning approach to sustainable living, island-wide. Accepting the award is Laura Williams from Kauai Community College. The next award is Best Case Study for an associate college with more than 5,000 full-time students. This is for Austin Community College for their submission, How to Start a Comprehensive Composting and Recycling Program at a community college. Accepting the award is Andy Kim and Darian Clary from Austin Community College District. Great. Runner-up in this category is Delta College for their submission, Green Book, Creative Sustainable Action. The best case study for a 4-year or graduate institution with 10,000 or fewer full-time students is the University of San Diego for their submission, Turning Trash into Cash, Sustainable Social Entrepreneurship. Accepting the award is Michael Canizaro and Paula Moriali from the University of San Diego. Runner-up for this category is Southern Oregon University, also one of our host institutions, for their submission, Creating a Living and Learning Laboratory for Applied Sustainability and Campus Farm through collaboration and student engagement. Okay, I need a glass of water on that. All right, thank you, Southern Oregon University. Now, best case study for a 4-year or graduate institution of more than 10,000 full-time students is University of Louisville for their submission, Earn a Bike program. Accepting the award is Jessica Moss, Russ Barnett, and Laura Krauser from the University of Louisville. I made several mistakes on that one during the practice run, so I'm glad I got that right. I've been in big trouble. Runner-up in this category is the University of Engineering Innovation Building, EIB, University of Arizona, where big ideas come to life. It only gets better. Okay.
Congratulations.
Oops, we got two more, yes.
Oh, sorry.
Now we're going to move to the Student Sustainability Leadership Awards. Our winner is San Diego Students for Sustainability, submitted by San Diego State University. And accepting that award is Rebecca Aviles and Christian Salgado. They flew in at the last second. Okay. The runner-up in this category is North Carolina State University, whose project include North Carolina State Student Energy Network, NCSEN, and the UNC Public Higher Education System, a statewide renewable energy project. Our final awards tonight is the category of Student Research Award. Our winner is Taya Owens of the University of Albany, whose winning submission is entitled Growth or Decline, the Form and Function of Sustainability Agenda in Higher Education. Unfortunately, time is cooperating to be here tonight, so we are going to accept that award on her behalf. In addition, we also like to recognize the runner-up in this category, and that's Jamie Hirsch from Western Michigan University, whose submission was entitled The Development of Learning for Sustainability Core Competencies.
Congratulations to all of our award winners this evening. You are doing incredible work, and it's so inspiring to all of us. We'd also like to thank our judges who come from members of the AASHE Advisory Council. Thank you, everyone. Now we'd like to introduce the president of Portland State University, one of our host institutions. The president is Vim Bevel, and he will introduce tonight's keynote speaker, Annie Leonard. Vim.
Thank you very much, and welcome everybody to Portland. And in your honor, we made the sun come out this afternoon. It's going to be sunny tomorrow. Tuesday it's going to go back to rain. It's going to be too exciting. I want to start out with reading a proclamation issued by the mayor. And I'm told by the AASHE folks this is the first time the mayor has issued such a proclamation for any city where the AASHE conference is held. Whereas, that's how these start, right? Whereas the city of Portland and the mayor's office recognize the importance of higher education institutions in leading the global sustainability transformation. And whereas, rest assured there are only two whereas's. Whereas the city of Portland will show further support while increasing environmentally friendly practices, such as through the Sustainability at Work initiative. Now therefore, I, Charlie Hales, Mayor of the City of Portland, Oregon, the City of Roses, do hereby proclaim October 26th through November 1st to be Sustainability Week in Portland and encourage all residents to observe this week. Signed, Charlie Hales. All right. The wonderful thing about this proclamation is that while you can get proclamations of all kinds of stuff, he really means this. This is real. The partnership that the city is engaged in with many institutions, their leadership on sustainability, is absolutely what they really live every single day. And at Portland State, where our motto is, let knowledge serve the city, we are very proud of our manifold partnership, both with the city government as well as with so many other businesses, community organizations, and others throughout the metropolitan area. We truly are one of the anchor institutions of the city. I hope you'll have a chance to visit our campus so you can really see how integrated we are. And the first thing, if you come to campus, that you would notice is all the buses and streetcars and the light rail and the bikes that bring students to campus. In fact, Portland State is the #1 transit destination in the metropolitan area, and only 25% of our students, faculty, or staff use a private automobile to come to campus. What's more, this didn't just happen because we were in the right place. We made real investment, and we're still paying the bonds to make this happen. So it's a message that I always tell my fellow presidents. You know, you've got to put your money where your mouth is if you're going to make this for real. You may also see on campus what we call our Electric Avenue, which is a row of 7 different vehicle charging stations right in the middle of campus, where we're experimenting with different models in partnership again with the city as well as Portland General Electric. And if you enter any building on campus, of course, anything that has been built or renovated in the last 10 years is LEED certified, and we now always go for gold or better and wind up with platinum most of the time. Sustainability is really embedded, thank you, into the campus. It's not an isolated add-on. We don't just have one degree or one office. We have a sustainability leadership center that's part of enrollment management and student affairs, which ensures that sustainability-related student activities are really part of our core curriculum. And sustainability awareness is one of our 8 required undergraduate learning outcomes. Our campus sustainability office is part of finance and administration, so that in all of our operational and administrative decisions, we think about how does this play out and how can we do this in a way that contributes to sustainability. And our Institute for Sustainable Solutions sits in our Research and Strategic Partnerships office to guide the research that so many of our faculty undertake. And I'm very happy to say that the 3 women who lead these 3 offices really collaborate greatly. I think that's probably why we put the women in charge of it. I'm sorry, guys. When we do research on environmental issues, we don't do it in a vacuum. We work closely with local partners. We work, again, very closely, for instance, with the city's Bureau of Planning and Sustainability to answer questions raised in their climate action plans. How can we develop a workable local food system? How do we tackle climate-related issues of air quality? How do we ensure bike and pedestrian safety? It's only through collaborative research in real times and real places that we can figure this out. Through our Sustainable Neighborhoods Initiative, we've made a long-term commitment to 4 specific neighborhoods that are also eco-districts in the city to put together interdisciplinary teams of students and researchers and work over a long period of time with neighborhood organizers to help them reach their sustainability goals. Because of that long-term nature, the projects built on each other. One class studying waste minimization can pass the baton to the next one, which can develop a plan for handling waste materials. We also have something called the Urban Sustainability Accelerator, where we've invited half a dozen or so cities at a time from around the country to learn from each other how to advance sustainability locally and how to build the partnerships. I just want to end, before I introduce our keynote speaker, talk for 1 more minute about something that John Anderson already mentioned. I was at the summit of the American College and University President's Climate Commitment, where we learned, of course, how the projects that I mentioned are not unique to Portland, but how many of your institutions are doing things like this and similar, and that's why conferences like this are so good, because we can learn from each other. But the most exciting thing to me at that summit, and in really the last few months as I've been thinking about what's happening with the concern about climate change, is that very clearly I think the momentum is shifting. We cannot wait for Washington, D.C. and the federal government to act. It has to be up to cities, states, companies, universities, local anchor institutions to take leadership roles in climate change mitigation. And you all, we all are part of that local leadership. Thank you and welcome. Pacific Northwest. She's a Seattle native. Then she went on to study environmental science and city and regional planning at Columbia University and at Cornell. And she then spent a decade working at Greenpeace International. She traveled to 40 countries, investigating the factories where our consumer products are made and the dumps where they are discarded. She's best known probably for her viral video, The Story of Stuff, which has been seen 50 million times. Long live the internet. And this past August, she returned as its executive director to Greenpeace USA. Please welcome Annie Leonard.
Everybody come in, and the energy is so amazing. I am sure this is the best energy of any conference room ever. I mean, I was loving watching people hugging each other and talking about compost, which are two of my favorite things to do. It feels like this is like a high school reunion if you went to high school with cool people, which honestly almost did. So it's just really great to be here. When the invitation first came for me to come and join you, I was the director of the Story of Stuff project. I since have changed jobs, became the executive director of Greenpeace. I didn't know if that meant I would get disinvited, but I got sort of doubly invited, so thank you so much for that. Since the Story of Stuff launched, since I put it online in 2007, I have been traveling around the country, visiting dozens and dozens of colleges and universities. I've met sustainability coordinators and facility operators and professors and students, and I am so impressed. First of all, I'm impressed because I have a high school daughter, and I was panicked about where she's going to go to college, and I have found out about so many incredible schools, and I'm so relieved. But I'm also impressed about the state of the work. I'm just curious, are there folks here whose colleges I've visited in the last few years? Oh, good. Lots and lots of old friends. I see lots of hands there. In all these travels and visiting your schools, I've realized that the great things about colleges and universities and really all kinds of educational institutions as vehicles for promoting sustainability is that millions of people go through your doors every year. And I've also realized that one of the challenging things about having colleges and universities as vehicles for sustainability is that millions of people go through your door. I have organized on sustainability in diverse communities all over the world, and I know that it's hard to organize, to really change everything from values and thinking to behaviors and structures. It's hard to organize in any community, anywhere, but it's especially hard if a big chunk of the people are rotating out every year. But it is so important, so I really want to acknowledge the work that you guys are taking on, and that you are just succeeding in so incredibly well. Thank you so much. When I was a college student 30 years ago, I thought that our work for sustainability was a sprint. I mean, I thought that ecological collapse was imminent and that solutions were on the horizon, and I thought maybe we had 10 years at most to figure this stuff out. And so I worked frantically around the clock like every passionate 20-year-old should do. I thought it was a sprint. When I got into my 30s and 40s, I realized, this work for sustainability isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. So I began to pace myself, I began to have a longer-term horizon of understanding how change happens. So recently, just a couple of weeks ago, I turned 50, and my perspective has changed again. I realized that this is not a sprint or a marathon, it's a relay race. I'm realizing that making change is slow and hard, and there's some changes that won't take 10 years I might not even see in my lifetime, like the change to transition to a truly sustainable and just economy that is powered 100% by clean energy. That might not happen in my lifetime. So the best thing that I and that all of us can be doing is inspiring and equipping the leaders of today and tomorrow, and that's what all of you guys are doing. So thank you so, so much for doing that. It is an incredibly important role in the movement. I'm so happy that you guys are doing this work, partly because of that role of inspiring and equipping our leaders for tomorrow, but also because the incredible leadership that universities and colleges are showing represents an evolution, a sophistication of the sustainability movement. The sustainability movement is really a social movement. Yes, we are working to protect the natural environment, but we are doing so much more than that. We're working to build sustainable economies and communities. We're working to change so many things in our society. We want to change the built environment, which includes how we plan and power our businesses and neighborhoods, how we build our cities, how we transport ourselves, how we grow our food. We're working to change the political environment. We want to wrest back our corporate money-marinated democracy and put it back in service of the people and the planet again. We're working to change our economics so that the measure of our society's well-being is not determined by the rate of economic growth alone, but by a broader set of more holistic metrics. And we're working to influence social and cultural norms. We want a society which values people based on who they are and what they do, not on what they own. We want to replace dominant values of hyper-individualism and consumerism with empathy, respect, and collaboration for each other and for the planet. Now, if you study the history of social movements, you'll see the ones that were most successful did not just build parallel institutions in society, but collaborated with and engaged the existing institutions in society, especially schools and churches. When I see the leadership role that so many of you are taking by engaging schools in the movement for sustainability, I realize that not only are you making real progress, but you're helping sustainability ideas become mainstream. You are making us unstoppable. So thank you so, so much. As you all know, and as you're going to spend the next few days discussing, there are so many things that institutions of higher education can do to support sustainability. I'm not going to go through all of the steps because people in this room invented almost all of them, so you already know. But I do want to share some of the highlights I've seen in these last 7 years of visiting schools all over the country. I want to share with you some of the trends and things that have made me most excited. And after I share all the good news, I want to share with you a worry that I have. I have one sort of gnawing doubt and concern that I hope we can solve together. Did it work? Oops, that one was supposed to be up there that whole time. Okay, so sustainability work on campus and beyond. As most of you guys know, there's sort of two main baskets that sustainability work on campus and beyond can fit into: curricula and operations and facilities. Let's just talk quickly about each one. In terms of curricula, there are two trends that I'm seeing that make me so excited, that are so far from when I was, so far better since I was in school. The first is the increasing attention on solutions. I'm seeing, and I really want to encourage, the recognition that students need to not just learn about today's problems, but they need to learn about the solutions. They need to learn about a way forward. Yes, understanding the science about the problems is really important so that we can understand the drivers and cause and effect. And also, really understanding the problems helps us establish our credibility and confidence to talk about these issues. But at some point, learning more and more about the problems without learning about the solutions, actually becomes paralyzing. My least favorite sentence in the English language is, "There is no alternatives." You talk about squelching critical thinking and creative innovation, there are so many alternatives. So I'm really excited to see that in the schools that I've visited over these past years, just as there's learning about the problems, there's learning about ecological economics, eco-design, green chemistry, biomimicry, the incredible plethora of rich, delicious, viable solutions that are out there. And those solutions are necessary because they feed our hope. And hope is something that we all need more of today. The second really exciting trend that I'm seeing in terms of curriculum and sustainability is a busting out of the environmental silo. When I was a student, one studied environmental science, or medicine, or architecture, or economics, or psychology, or if you really wanted to annoy your parents, modern dance. The exciting trend that I see now is that environmental program is increasingly cross-department, or is turning into N. There are environmental classes in business schools, in architecture and planning, in communications programs, in psychologies. And think about a class on something like climate change that only has environmental students. It risks becoming a limiting echo chamber. If we're only talking to ourselves, we don't get feedback about the way that we're communicating. And for a long time, environmentalists only did talk to themselves. And so we tended to be very technical and depressing and wonky. And then we wondered why nobody ever invited us to parties. And so the fact that environmental science is now being cross-department and really breaking out of that silo means that we're getting the opportunity to infiltrate environmental values into all of these other fields so that we can recruit them to be solutions. And it also means that we can be smarter and savvier communicators about these important issues. So I love both of those trends. They're very, very exciting, and they really are because of you guys. So thank you so much for that. I'm going to talk quickly about some of the most exciting thing I've seen about operations and facilities. My gosh, it is so much different than when I went to school. When I went to college, my first environmental campaign was against the single-use disposable styrofoam dishes in the cafeteria. I mean, can you imagine having an entire college cafeteria with single-use styrofoam dishes? You would have to be such a loser to do that today. Actually, you had to be a loser to do it back then too, but it's a little more obvious now. So there's so many things like LEED buildings and water permeable walkways and composting that are all really, really great. They are fantastic. Every time I see a composting bin, I swear my heart just warms up. I just love seeing those and how mainstream that they have become. Those are all great. Please keep doing them. I'm going to skip all that kind of basic stuff because all of you guys already know that and you have days of workshops on that ahead. I want to talk about ways to go beyond the campus footprint. Some of the more exciting things I'm seeing about scaling up the impact from operations and facilities. One is around procurement. I am really excited about the projects that I've seen that leverage the university's purchasing muscle to make change beyond their campus. So say you're into recycling, which I hope everyone here is. You can recycle on campus, the environmental science department can buy recycled paper, but by getting a campus-wide procurement policy, you can ensure that every single department is getting the highest standard, 100% post-consumer waste, no chlorine bleach, soy ink papers. Like you can just get the absolute highest bar codified across the entire university. It makes it much easier than going department by department, and it scales up the impact. You can get procurement policies to avoid toxic cleaners, or as already was discussed today, to commit to 100% renewable energy. And we actually have in this room one of the national leaders on procurement policy, the Sustainable Purchasing Leadership Council. Jason, will you stand up so everybody can see you? If your campus does not yet have a great procurement policy, please go and talk to Jason. You're so lucky to be able to have access to him directly. Greenpeace is very involved in working with students around procurement, around food issues. There's a growing awareness about the links between environmental destruction and climate change and food, and students are demanding better alternatives. So in a lot of places, students are demanding locally grown produce, and schools are providing. Greenpeace is working with students that are interested in securing sustainable seafood, especially around tuna. Tuna is one of the most commonly eaten fish in this country, and while sushi gets a lot of attention, Americans, including on campuses, eat way, way more canned tuna. The conventional way that tuna is caught just wipes out the ocean because there's all this bycatch. Turtles and sharks and rays and all these other ocean creatures get caught and killed in the process. And so students are organizing to make sure that their food services are only purchasing sustainably sourced tuna and other seafoods. It's a really exciting movement. We have a massive network of students all across the country. If any of you guys are interested in working on procurement in terms of the sustainable seafood, please contact me because we would love to work with you. In many places, schools are even going beyond these procurements to actually weigh in on the advocacy front. I hate these technology things. Let's see, does this work? Oops. We're not even anywhere near there. There, okay. A number of schools have already committed to going carbon neutral, to have only purchasing renewable energy, which is absolutely fantastic. But sometimes the utilities aren't equipped to provide it. So the commitment is one thing, but if it's not an option, the school can't do it. Here's an example of the president of Duke University actually wrote, the president of North Carolina actually wrote to Duke Utility in North Carolina encouraging Duke to switch from fossil fuels to more renewable energy. The students had been demanding this, the local activists had been demanding it, but to get the president of the university to weigh in was an incredible way to magnify the credibility of this demand, to provide the moral authority of a university. So there's lots of ways that schools can actually take a role in advocacy to help boost the campaigns of local activists and students. Another piece on the operations and facilities that really excites me is the explosion of student-led initiatives. When I started traveling around to schools about 10 years ago, there were very few of these. Now every single school I visit has dozens of school-led, student-led initiatives around sustainability. Now, to be honest, I will bet that some of them are more helpful than others. The particular one that I do not like, I don't know if anyone here does this, I encourage you to reconsider, is Trayless Tuesdays. Don't do Trayless Tuesdays because it makes everybody hate environmentalists. Just get rid of the frickin' trays every day. You do not need these trays. It's a perfect example where choice editing can solve the problem. So that's the only one I've seen that I really don't like. Just get rid of the trays. I think the student-led sustainability initiatives are really exciting, not just because they surface a lot of good ideas that might not have occurred to the administration and staff, but because every time the students organize for an initiative and they get that adopted, those students are learning that they have agency. They're learning that their voice matters. They're learning how to organize. And then when they go out into the real world after school, they will take that confidence, that sense of agency, and those skills to make real change outside. So the kinds of student-led initiatives that I've seen all over the country, one is bottled water bans. It is amazing how many college campuses now are banning bottled water. If your campus has done that, what I'd say then is turn to the students and help them figure out, ask them to help you figure out what are the alternatives. It's easy to stop something. It's sometimes harder to figure out what the solution is. So enroll those same students and figure out what's the solution. Do you want more drinking fountains? Do you want to give freshmen a reusable bottle? There's so many different alternatives that have pros and cons, and engage the students in thinking it through with you. Another one is the great bans on styrofoam that are happening all across the schools. I hope there's no school in here that even still has styrofoam. If there is, let's try by the next conference that there will be no schools here that have styrofoam. That really is like so 1980s, that whole thing. Another campaign that I really love is the Post-Landfill Action Network. I know that you guys share my concern about all of the waste that we see discarded at the end of the school year. And I live right near UC Berkeley. There are rice cookers and microwaves and futons and all this stuff all over the streets. The local residents call it hippie Christmas because you can furnish your whole house from discards. And then in some schools, after they've chucked all this stuff into dumpsters, in the falls, they have shuttle buses to Target to go buy new rice cookers and microwaves and stuff. It's absolutely crazy. This was a problem begging for a solution for years. And finally, Alex Freed, who was in this room, where's Alex? Started the Post-Landfill Action Network. For which he won the very prestigious Brower Youth Award recently for this. This is a fabulous organization that is working with students at campuses all over the country for them to start their own organizations, to gather all those materials at the end of the year, store it over the summer, and then sell it in the fall so students can get new stuff for cheaper and they can raise revenue in the process. And of course, one of the most exciting student-led initiatives right now across the country is the divestment campaign. It is fantastic to see this divestment campaign. Now, a lot of people push back and say that you can't get colleges to divest, and even which so many of you have already proven wrong, but that even if you could get colleges to divest, it's just a drop in the bucket. It won't really hurt the bottom line of those fossil fuel companies. I have to say, it is an incredibly, incredibly important campaign. Because when colleges divest from fossil fuel companies, it begins to remove the social license of those companies. Now you have to remember, these companies, their fundamental business model is incompatible with continued civilization on the planet. What are we doing putting our dollars in these companies? What are we doing putting our institutions' dollars in these companies? We have to make them social pariahs. So do everything you can to get your university to divest from fossil fuel, and then do the second part, which is invest in a clean energy economy. The divestment removes their social license. It also frees up millions and millions of dollars to fund that clean clean energy transition that we need so badly. There's another benefit of these divestment campaigns that I just love, which is that it's training students how to make big change. When I go to college campuses now, students are asking for advice on facilitating meetings, on how to present information in compelling ways to trustees, are learning about endowments and finances and economics and the really big complex issues. These are excellent skills to take into the world for a life as a career change maker. All of that kind of stuff is great, and I'm sure that you're very familiar with those kinds of student-led sustainability initiatives, and there'll be lots more workshops on them. So what I want to talk about today is what my big concern is, the thing that I actually lie in bed at night worried about. There are so many solutions available for every single environmental problem that we face. We have model legislation, we have technological advances, and we absolutely know how to create a society that is sustainable, that is healthy, and that is just. But we're not able to do it, and I worry about why. And my hypothesis that I want to share with you is that I am afraid that we, as a country, are forgetting how to make big, bold change. And I want to explain to you why I think this. I have traveled all across the country showing this film, The Story of Stuff, and for those of you who've seen it, you know it lays out a pretty broad, deep systemic critique of our consumer society. I cannot tell you how often, after I show that film, someone raises their hand and says, "What should I buy then?" Or the number one question that I get is, "What can I do?" And at first I was so excited when all these people were asking me, what can they do? Because I know of all these incredible campaigns, so I started rattling off all these, well, what can you think of doing? Because I just wanted to see what they were thinking of. And this was all across the country, schools, churches, community groups, conferences. The answers I got back, every single place I went, were so consistent when I asked people, what can you think of doing? People said, I can recycle, I can compost, I can ride my bike, I can change my light bulbs, I can do the clothesline, I can buy organic, I can buy fair trade. It was all I, and it was all about individual minor action to change minor things about our lifestyle or shopping preferences. It was interesting when this was happening. I was reading this book called Parting the Waters, which is a history of the civil rights movement, which is like this huge. It takes a long time to read because you can't actually carry it with you anywhere. And I was just comparing the inherent collectiveness of the responses in the civil rights movement to the sort of inherent individualism of the responses that so many people were having to our environmental crisis today. And so I started wondering about it, and I came up with this theory. I think that all of us have two different parts of ourselves. It's almost like two different muscles. Okay, muscle picture now. Can you make it go? Yes, there. We have two different muscles. We have a citizen muscle and a consumer muscle. Now, in our consumer-oriented society, we are called upon to use our consumer muscle many, many times during the day. Our consumer muscle is stroked and nurtured and validated. It is the primary way that we are asked to relate to each other. So much that the media often uses the word human being and consumer interchangeably, as though that is our primary role in our society. That's the primary way that we're asked to show up. So as a result, we're really good at it. We really know how to consume. I mean, any one of you could pick out your whatever personal device you like and pick pretty much any product in the world and get it delivered to your front door by tomorrow. We are really good at being consumers. But at the same point, our citizen muscle has atrophied. At most, maybe we're called upon to vote every 2 to 4 years, but we're not called upon and encouraged and validated for engaging as citizens. And so, as a result, we focus on these consumer issues. And so when we see big, huge problems like disruption of the global climate or babies being born pre-polluted with 165 industrial chemicals already in their blood when they are born, which is what's happening, we see huge problems like this, and the best that we can think of doing is carrying our own bag to the grocery store or composting. Now, I love carrying my own bag to the grocery store. I love composting. I ride my bike. I use the clothesline. Those are all very, very, very good things to do. I do them all. I hope you do them all. But those do not fall in the category of working together to make the kind of big, bold, systemic change that we need today. Those fall in the category of responsible adult hygiene. So yes, you should floss your teeth, you should carry your own bag to the grocery store. You should wash your hands after you use the loo. You should compost. We are beyond the point where we get gold stars for this. So, I have come to believe that those of us who are serious about innovation for sustainability in our schools, in our economy, in our communities, that one of the most important things that we need to do is help people reconnect with their sense of being a change maker. Now, I did some really interesting reading about our role, our sense of identity, and the role that the sense of identity plays in our decision-making processes. There's different ways that we all make decisions. One way we make decisions is the consequences model. Am I going to get busted or rewarded for doing this? And that determines our decision. Another way that we all make decisions is based on our sense of identity. A million times a day, we subconsciously say, what kind of person am I? What kind of situation is this? What would a person like me do in a situation like this? We do that when we're buying food or clothes, or when we're seeing a piece of litter on the sidewalk and deciding whether or not to pick it up, or just constantly all day. Our sense of identity influences the decisions that we make. So I coupled that information with the fact that what I was hearing from people when I traveled around this country is that their sense of identity is being that of an isolated, powerless consumer. People always say, I'd love to do something, but ExxonMobil or Monsanto has so much more power than I do. Or I'd love to do something, but I'm only one person. There's nothing I can do. So at the Stored Stuff Project, we came up with an experiment. Could we get people to reconnect with their sense of being a change maker? We came up with 6 different kinds of change makers. Resistor, nurturer, communicator, networker, builder. You can see those 6 there. And we have a little quiz on our website, which you can all do. The reason we had these 6 different kinds is because we realized that not everybody wants to chain themselves to smokestacks and pipes and hang off buildings and do this kind of stuff. If you want to, Greenpeace does have some job openings, so please check out our website. We're hiring. There's plenty of opportunities to do that. And speaking of Greenpeace, if there's anyone here from the University of Cincinnati, can you please come and talk to me afterwards, because Greenpeace has a special request for you. But anyway, there's lots of different kinds of change makers. During the Occupy movement, we got a lot of phone calls from people who said, I agree with their demands, but I don't want to go sleep in the park. And I said, hey, 99% of the 99% doesn't want to go sleep in the park. No problem, there are plenty of other ways that we can get involved. So we developed this little change maker quiz, and that's where it is. And I'd encourage you to try it and invite your students to try it. It's 7 quick questions that you can fill out. And it tells you, based on your answers, congratulations, you're a nurturer. Congratulations, you're a networker or a communicator. And we're doing an experiment now to see if we communicate to people by reinforcing their change maker identity, does that encourage them to take more action? And so far it's working. So that when we write to someone and say, hey, you're a communicator and we need letters to the editor about this issue, can you write one? Or hey, you're a networker, can you get 10 people to come to the city council meeting? It's working, and we're seeing a greater sense of engagement. And this is an important lesson for all of us. If we reinforce people's sense of agency, they will then be more likely to take action. We just did a very small experiment like this at Greenpeace. We get people calling all the time to talk to our supporter care people. The majority of these calls are people calling to cancel their monthly credit card donations that some guy on the street in front of Whole Foods got them to agree to make. So when they call, it used to say, if you would like to talk to one of our amazing supporter care service representatives, press 1. So based on this experiment and this sort of stuff, we changed the wording. Now it says, if you are one of our amazing monthly donors, press 1. The number of people that canceled their credit card donations after identifying as an amazing monthly supporter plummeted. I mean, it's amazing. We have calculated out that we're going to get $25,000 a year more donations just by reaffirming that they are one of our amazing monthly donors. So keep that in mind when you talk to your students. The more that we can reinforce, and students keep it in mind when you talk to your professors too, the more that we can reinforce that all of us have agency, that all of us can be change makers, the more power that we will have. I've become a big proselytizer of getting people to re-engage as citizens. I think that it really is the most important thing that we can do if we want to build this movement. The most important thing that we can do is get people to rebuild, re-exercise their citizen muscle. We're going to talk about why. There's 3 reasons why that is so important. This is not about some theoretical exercise in the moral virtue of good citizenship. It's not like some high school civics class. This is because we want to win. We are in this to win this. We want to build a sustainable and healthy and just society, and we need more power to do that. I think that environmentalists for a long time were trapped in the myth that the truth will set us free. And the reason I say that that is a myth is that if that were true, we would be free. We have so much truth. We have reams and reams and reams of truth. If we printed out all the truth that we have about the state of the climate, we could build a moat all the way around North America to protect us from rising sea levels. We have so much truth. But truth alone, good, solid scientific information alone, will not create change if we don't have the power. And the way that we are going to build the power is by getting people to engage as engaged citizens in our country. So that's number 1, is that we want to win this. Number 2 is that getting engaged as an engaged citizen helps to shore up our democratic structures and systems. You know, it's not just our physical infrastructure, our bridges and roads that are in decay in this country from neglect. It's our democratic infrastructure, too. As people have become more apathetic and turned their backs on democratic processes, corporations have moved in. So we need to do 2 things. We need to get the corporations out of our democracy, but then we need to get the citizens, the people, back in. There's a bumper sticker that I often see that it says it's thanks to the labor unions for our weekends. And I feel like future generations will have a bumper sticker, if we even still have cars. They'll have a bicycle sticker that thanks the engaged citizens of today for wresting back our democracy from the corporations and the polluters and putting it back in the hands of the people. Getting our democracy to be back available for us not only gives us the best tool that we have to promote sustainability, but it makes it more available for the people who come after us with other causes. And then the third reason why being engaged as a citizen is so important is that it adds meaning and joy and friends to our lives. There's some really interesting data out there about happiness. I was curious why happiness levels in the United States are plummeting when we have more cooler, fancier, multitaskier stuff than ever before. I mean, the kinds of consumer goods we have just regular in our lives, the kinds we have in our pockets and backpacks, our grandparents couldn't have even dreamed of. So why is it that we have so much stuff, but our happiness levels are declining? Well, if you study this new emerging field of happiness research, it's really interesting to see what actually contributes the most to happiness. Once you have your basic needs met, and if you don't have food and a roof and your basic needs, then more stuff does make you happy. Well, once your basic needs are met, the things that most contribute to happiness are not things. It's not a new pair of boots or a new iPhone or a new car, even if it is a Nissan Leaf. It is not things. The things that most contribute to our happiness are a sense of community, having time together with friends and family, having a sense of meaning and purpose in your life beyond yourself, and the act of coming together with others towards a shared goal, whether it's a sports team or a civic group, the act of working together. So those are the 3 things that most contributes to happiness across income groups, ethnicities, age groups, nationalities. Those are the things that most contribute to our happiness. Do you know what's super lucky about that? Those are the things that working together for a better future provide. I mean, how fortuitous is that? So we're not even saying, come over here and we'll all be eco-martyrs and wear sandals all year round and eat cardboard-tasting veggie burgers and scorn people who don't carry their own bag. We're saying, come over here. We will build the power to turn things around and figure out how to keep living on this one glorious planet we have. And we will have way more fun in the process. So what's not to like about that? We're so lucky. I'm often asked if I think a better world is possible, if I think change is possible. And I'd like to say that it's not just possible, it is inevitable. The question is not if we are going to change, but how we are going to change. And the reason I say that is that it is biologically and physically impossible to continue on the trajectory that we're on right now. Currently, globally, we are using 1.5 planets worth of resources each year. That means we're using 150% of what the planet can replenish for next year. That's a problem because we are eating into the planet's ability to reproduce for next year when we're also going to have more people. Often people ask us, how can we be using more than the planet can replenish each year? It's because we weren't always such ravenous consumers, so the planet had a long time to build up stockpiles, but we can't use 150% of what the planet produces each year. This is an example of how environmentalists often get caught in our own wonky rhetoric. I gave that figure out from the Global Footprint Network recently at an environmental conference, and I said we're using 1.5 planets worth of resources. A debate actually broke out where someone said, no, it's 1.3 planets. And someone said, no, it's 1.62 planets. And I said, you guys, big picture here. Anything over 1 is a problem. Like, it really doesn't matter if it's 1.3 or 1.62. We are using too much stuff. So change is inevitable. The question is not if we're going to change, but how. Are we going to change by design, or are we going to change by disaster? Either way, it's going to be hard work. Either way, things are going to look a lot different for our grandchildren than they look for us. But if we work together, if we choose to change by design, we can be so much more intentional and strategic and compassionate and just about how we do it. If we dig our heels in and refuse to change, like a former president of this country said, that the American way of life is non-negotiable, if we are just going to consume our way right over that ecological cliff, we are still going to change, but it's going to be a lot more violent, a lot less just, a lot more ugly. So I have asked all of you today to please keep up the incredible work that you are doing, to use your campuses to model that another world is possible, to inspire and equip all of the people passing through your doors, 22 million people a year going through colleges and universities in this country, to inspire and equip all of those people to be passionate, skilled leaders in the movement for a sustainable future. Because together I am absolutely confident that we can change by design rather than disaster. Thank you guys so very much. Two thoughts. One is, it's not really a left-right issue to want your baby to be born without 165 industrial chemicals already in the blood. And it's not really a left-right issue to prefer that the Earth's climate stay within that temperature range that allows human life to continue. That's a human issue. So I would push back on those that are trying to squelch this work, saying that it is partisan or political, because it's really about humanity. And it's about courage and creativity and empathy and connection. And it's not about politics. It's about, do we want to continue to live on this planet? And if so, how? I was speaking at a college a couple of years ago where somebody stood up and one of the students challenged me and said that he read my book and he found that I was biased. And he said, what do you say to allegations that you are biased? and I said, I am biased. You know what? I am biased in favor of sustainability and justice. I am biased in favor of clean health and clean water, of respect and compassion and love. I am biased like Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King and Rachel Carson was biased. And when did bias become a bad word? If we are biased in terms of we want to continue to live on this planet, then I think we should stand up proudly and say, I am biased, I am political, and I am going to work together to build a sustainable and just society, and who wants to come along? Because we're all
Yes, hi, Andy. My name is Mark Orlowski. I'm the founder and executive director of the Sustainable Endowments Institute, which is a Boston-based nonprofit. My question actually has to do with endowments. So you briefly touched on the divestment issue and the reinvestment issue. It seems to me that endowments are one of the most underutilized resources by universities and colleges. You know, there's over $450 billion in university endowments, but yet, on one hand, I can count the number of schools that have filed a shareholder resolution in the last decade. And on the other hand, I can count the number of schools with fingers left over that are actually investing even a small portion of their endowment back into on-campus projects around renewable energy and energy efficiency. And so my question for you is, what do you think it's going to take to get more universities to think about these issues and go beyond just a simple binary yes, no, should we divest or shouldn't we divest, and think more holistically about the shareholder engagement side and the reinvestment side on campus?
What I think it's going to take is the answer to what I think it's going to take for everything, which is it's going to take organizing. That's how we get stuff done, is organizing. It's going to take organizing. I think this is a really powerful question. The idea that one's endowment is somehow separate from an institution's mission is absolutely irrational. If you look at the stated mission of your universities, I'll bet it has stuff about virtuous qualities in your mission. You can't have a nice carving on your building with some virtuous quality, morality mission, and then have your money be funding companies that are threatening the planet and exploiting people. It just simply isn't rational. And so we have got to bring into alignment our money, our actions, our facilities, our curriculum, and our values. Otherwise, we're out of integrity as individuals and as institutions, and that's just simply no way to live. So let's bring it into alignment. Let's put all of the resources that we have to bring to this struggle on the table, whether it's our students, whether it is our waste management systems on campuses, whether it is where we buy our energy, or whether it is the enormous assets of our endowments that we are just sitting on in denial as they actually fund and support the very things that we are working against.
Opener. Let's thank Annie Leonard. Now, I was feeling guilty playing with my cell phone in the front row, but I was posting on Facebook. And remember, social media is out there and available for you during the conference, #AASHE 2014. So, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, get to work. The board of directors of AASHE will be at the AASHE booth during the reception, so please feel free to drop by in the exhibit hall and see them. And please take a chance to take your time to meet with the AASHE staff while you're here.
So everyone, we're not stopping right now. And we have a great open reception in the exhibit hall, which is either there or there. No, it's there. And so Annie's going to be there signing her book. Anna LeMay will also be there signing her book, so you get a chance to talk to them more and ask questions, and a chance to mingle and have some fun. So everybody, I want to thank you for tonight, and let's keep it going in the exhibit hall.